Syntax, this is, of course, this is introductory course about syntax. The course objective is to introduce students to the basic principles that govern the kernel sentence. What is a kernel sentence? It is a simple, active, declarative, affirmative sentence with only one verb. The concept of kernel sentence was introduced in 1957 by Hertz. Definition. A distinction must be drawn between syntax, grammar, and syntax. So grammar, the term grammar in present-day linguistics has at least two meanings. The first meaning, grammar comprises the tacit linguistic knowledge speakers possess, which enables them to communicate in their language and to judge the grammaticality of sentences in their native language. Grammar here is a psychological mentality concept, which Noam Chomsky called it competence. The second meaning, grammar refers to the set of rules that govern the structure of language, including phonological, morphological, syntactic, semantic, grammatic rules. Which means that if we take language and we analyze it, we find that it consists of a set of grammatical rules of phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. So which means that syntax is included. Syntax. Definition. Syntax is the study of the way words are combined into sentences. The basic unit of syntax is the sentence. So, syntax refers to the rules and principles that govern sentence structure. So, sentences are not simply linear strings of words. They don't contain words that are combined randomly. They have structure. Sentence structure. Sentence meaning depends on word order of the sentence. Compare the following sentences here. We have, I sing because I'm happy, and I'm happy because I sing. So if we take those two sentences, they contain the same word, but different structure, which is different word order, so which means that they have different meanings. Word order is crucial for understanding of syntactic organization of sentences. Every sentence is a sequence of words, but not every sequence of words is a sentence. Word order in sentences is rule governed. Sentences which don't obey the syntactic rules are said to be ill-formed sentences, while sentences which obey the syntactic rules of the language are said to be well-formed sentences. The historical development of syntax. The history of syntax can be divided chronologically into three main types of analysis. First, traditional grammar. Second, structuralist grammar. And the third, which is generative grammar. It must be acknowledged that each type constitutes an improvement of the previous one, which means that each type has been tested and testing reveals the weaknesses of each type, and hence calls for improvement based on extensive research. Traditional grammar. So traditional grammar, there are many traditional grammar books dealing with various languages handed from generation to generation. The traditional grammar is best represented by two main characteristics. First, traditional grammar was not specialized study of language. It always formed part of the prevailing philosophical study. It is just a sub-analysis, sub-study. It was only heavily based on meaning, which is that the language structure was not separated from meaning conveyed by the words. This fact made traditional grammar definitions rather vague. Second, traditional grammar was usually prescriptive and not descriptive. What we mean by prescriptive? This means that its rules prescribe the way element in language should be organized syntactically. Third, traditional grammar is based only on the written form of the language. So it never gave importance to the spoken language. Present grammar is also characterized by a number of advantages. So first, it was an inevitable period of history language analysis. It was a starting point which allowed progress. Second, many traditional terms like sentence, clause, subject, etc. are all used in syntactic analysis nowadays. The obvious example is the subject-predicate notion of present grammar. It still plays a role in the types of syntactic analysis. Structural grammar, this is another era. Schools of structuralism, we have the Prague School, and the American structuralists of the 1950s, which are the post-Bloomfieldian linguists. I've paid less attention to syntax, than topology, and morphology. Self-pronounced morphology were fruitful at that period. The works of the post-Bloomfieldian syntax can be classified into two main categories. First, the finite state model, and the second is the immediate constituent analysis. The finite state model, if we take this model, it is called also, this model is also called the Markov model. It consists of what? It is based on the view that sentences are generated by means of series of choices made from left to right. For example, this, we take this from the first column, then we go to the poet, is talented, these linguists are boring, etc. So every sequence or every subsequent choice is determined by the preceding element. This model has many limitations. First, the speaker starts from the initial state, produces a word, and then moves to the second stage. What will happen? The problem is that each stage restricts the grammatical choice of the next word. Second, this model would make one believe that all the units have an equal importance in the sentence, that the word the, which is determiner, has the same grammatical state as the words noun, the lesson, or verb, is, etc. Immediate constituent analysis. Hockett, 1958, has proposed this system, which illustrates the relationship of the words in a given language to one another. We take an example here. We have the sentence which is, the heavy rain destroyed the crops. So this sentence, the immediate constituent analysis, represents sentence structure in the form of hierarchical construction, of elements embedded one within the other. Sentence analysis is carried as far as the ultimate constituent, which is the morpheme, is concerned. So, if we take the sentence as I told you before, which is the heavy rain destroyed crops, the sentence is first analyzed into immediate constituent, which is heavy rain destroyed, which is subject, predicate. Each of these phrases is analyzed into its immediate constituent. For example, number one, which is the heavy rain, can be analyzed into the, which is number 3, and the heavy rain, which is number 4. The same thing for number 2. Destroyed the crops can be analyzed into 5 and 6, which is destroyed, and the crop. And then we go 5 into 7 and 8, 5 into 9 and 10, and then 6 into 11, until the ultimate constituent, which is number 12, which is the S, the morpheme, the plural morpheme. ICA, immediate constituent analysis, is a syntactic method of segmenting sentences into their immediate constituents. The principle of the sentence segmentation is usually binary. 2. That is, to cut each part of the sentence into 2 until the smallest ultimate invisible constituent, which is the morpheme. The aim of immediate constituent analysis is to discover in scientific way the elements which constitute in general, which constitute language in general, and the sentences in particular. However, it was recognized by due course that there were many problems involved in immediate constituent analysis. There are many important grammatical relationships which could never be brought into to light by immediate constituent analysis technique. We take number one, is now clear sentence division. It is always clear that it is not always clear whether the break or the cut between the constituent is to come. For example, if we take the old man and the women, his sentence can have, what is the cut? Can we say that it means old man and old women, or old man and old women? Like the example, we have French history teacher. Is the teacher of French, has French nationality, or the history is about France, or about French? Number two, active versus passive sentence. In ICA, which is immediate constituent analysis, there is no way of finding out the relationship between active and passive sentences. Example, that man saw John, and John was seen by that man. ICA analysis proceeds one sentence at a time. It can tell us that these sentences are closely related, so that they both mean the same thing. The third one is ambiguous sentences. Ambiguous sentences, immediate constituent analysis doesn't account of ambiguity in them. Let's consider Chomsky's famous example. We take this example. The police were ordered to stop drinking about midnight. So according to Chomsky, this sentence is ambiguous in four ways. Was the drinking taking place at midnight or the order? And then, who was drinking? Is it the police or someone else? So, in immediate constituent analysis, this ambiguation was impossible. Immediate constituent analysis presents only one meaning for ambiguous sentences. Another example by Chomsky. Those two examples we have, John is eager to help, to please. John is eager to please, and John is easy to please. In immediate constituent analysis, both sentences get the same analysis. But John has two different roles to play in these sentences. In the first sentence, he is the person who is doing the pleasing, which means that he is a subject. But the second one is the second sentence, he is the person who is being pleased, which is object. This model also doesn't give any indication to the syntactic functions of the constituents of sentence. It doesn't label or name sentence constituents, verb, nouns, adjectives. Now we move to the phrase structure grammar. Phrase structure grammar, it was introduced by Chomsky in the late 1950s. This model doesn't only segment the constituent as immediate constituent analysis, but it also labels or names them in grammatical terms. It changes the linguistic analysis from simple segmentation of sentences to the specification of what sentences are possible in the language. This model is generative. It can generate all well-formed sentences as well. So let us analyze this sentence in phrase structure grammar mode. The man followed the girl. So if we take this sentence, it can be analyzed into the and they are identified as determinants, man and the girl as nouns, and followed as a verb. However, the man and the girl as noun phrases, follow the girl as a verb phrase, and the whole as sentence. So, with the use of symbols or syntactic labels, for example, like did for determinant, N for nouns, V for verbs, NP for noun phrase, VP for verb phrase, and C for sentence. Thus, the phrase structure of the sentences can be displayed in tree diagram called phrase structure tree. Like the example we're going to see here, the structure of the sentence can be displayed in a tree. It's considered the sentence, the man followed the girl. It consists of C sentence, The sentence is divided into NP and VP, and then the VP divided into verb and NP, and the NPs are divided into determinant and noun, and what we get at the end, we have the man followed a girl. Phrase structure 3, also called constituent structure. It is a tree diagram with syntactic categories information provided. Phrase structure 3 shows that the sentence is both a linear string of words and a hierarchical structure with phrases nested in phrases. Combination of phrase structure. So the phrase structure, what is phrase structure? A phrase is a sequence of words or group of words arranged in grammatical construction and functions as a unit within the sentence. We're talking about within simple declarative as we see kernel sentences. There are 5 commonly occurring types. We have a noun phrase, which is written by NP, subject or object. Verb phrase, VP, it consists of verb plus NP or PP, preposition phrase or both. And adjective phrase consists of adjective phrase, and adverb phrase consists of adverb phrase. Preposition phrase, which is a VP, okay, it consists of preposition and noun phrase. The syntactic category are illustrated in 3 diagrams called here phrase structure by supplying the name of the syntactic category of each word grouping. These names are often referred to as syntactic labels, usually written by the initial of the category, such as, if we take this list here of syntactic labels, we have sentence S, determinant dit, adjective j, okay, adj, we say adverb with adv, okay, noun and verb, we just, presented by v, pronoun, etc. And those we call them syntactic, which we use them in syntactic. Phrase structure rules. Phrase structure 3 still doesn't state how new sentences can be generated. This can be done by the use of what we call phrase structure rules. The sentence, the main, for example, if we take this sentence, the man followed the girl, can be generated by 6 rules. Okay, so those rules are: number 1, sentence consists of NP, VP. Rule number 2, VP consists of verb and NP. And then the third one, we have an NP, consists of determinant and noun. Number 4, the rule number 4, which is a verb is followed. Determinant, we have A and D. And number 6, which is a noun, we have a man and a girl. These rules are not difficult to interpret, so they are clear and apparent. Phrase structure rules are descriptive. They can inform us about the actual principles of the grammar. Phrase structure rules will generate not only the one sentence mentioned above, which is the man followed the girl, but rules permit us to permute the grammatical categories and to generate no less than 16 different sentences, including, let's take an example. A girl followed the man, the girl followed a man, for example, and the man followed the man. This is it, but we can generate 16 sentences with this, or a girl followed a girl. Phrase structure rules. There are 4 basic phrase structure rules of the grammar of English. The first rule, which is sentence, consists of NP. The second one we have in NP consists of the terminal, adjective, noun, and preposition. Number 3, verb consists of verb, NP, PP, and adverb. And the third one, it consists of preposition, it consists of preposition and NP. But this theory is based on the obligatory optional environment of the syntactic elements. The element between brackets is optional. For example, if we take the sentence, there is no option there, because sentence should consist of, the term subject and predicate. But for the NP, we find that the noun is not between brackets. So all the components between brackets are optional. For the VP, the verb is obligatory. While the others are optional. And as we're going to see in detail later. But in preposition phrase, preposition obligatory, but at the same time, the NP is. Number two, expansion notion. What do you mean by expansion notion? Well, we start with the second obligatory word and add another word to it. For example, if we take the word child, we can expand it into the child determinant noun. We can add another adjective, the American child, and we have the Black American child, determinant adjective, noun, and the Black American children with a dog, determinant noun, adjective. We find in all this expansion the N, which is the noun, is obligatory, while the others are optional. Phrase rule number one. If we try to analyze rule, we take rule number one, which is sentence, which consists of NP and VP. As I told you, NP and VP are obligatory in the sentence. The sentence must contain NP and VP. Subject NP and predicate VP are obligatory. We take an example, the man left the house. It consists of sentence NP, VP. Then we have determinant noun VP, NP, and it gives us, determinant noun, and at the end we get the man left the house. Rule number two, which is a noun phrase. Noun phrase, we have determinant as optional, adjective as optional, but the noun is obligatory. The PP preposition phrase is also optional. We take an example. The noun N is obligatory. The determinant, the adjective, the preposition phrase are optional. Take an example. In example here, we have the three British young men with the dog. We find that N, the noun, is only obligatory, while the others are optional and goes into the process of expansion. Rule number three, which is the VP. VP, the verb is obligatory. And the noun phrase and the verb, the NP, which is noun phrase and preposition phrase and adverb, are optional. So the verb is obligatory, while NP, PP, adverb, phrase are optional. Why? Because we have different types of verbs. The verb can be transitive, intransitive. But we take the example here we have. He left. So it consists, the sentence consists only of subject and one verb. Maybe it can extend to an object. For example, he ate the cake. Or it can be to, the noun with an adverb. He left the house quickly. Then we can have he left in the pub slowly. Mary seems happy. The boy sat on the floor. I gave the man the book. Jane made the man happy. So those, have different types of verbs by different types of constructions. The fourth rule, which is preposition. Preposition phrase, both preposition and NP, which is noun phrase, are obligate. A preposition without its object will not be a preposition, but just an adverb particle. How we know it? Preposition shouldn't be confused with the particle. Phrasal verbs, for example, often consist of a verb and particle, whereby the particle is mistakenly interpreted to be a preposition. We take an example. He turned on the light. On is a particle, not a preposition. Why? Because we can see turned it on. He turned it on. So shifting identifies on as a particle. Let's consider the sentence, I saw the boy with telescope. This sentence can be assigned to three paragraphs because it depends on the syntactic function of the preposition phrase with the telescope. Does it mean the boy has a telescope? Or the action of seeing was done by telescope? Okay. So, if we take this sentence, it can have assigned this sentence three. Phrase structure. Here we have the sentence here. It consists of NP and VP. But look at, the VP very first is developed into verb, they saw, NP, the man, but the preposition phrase is taken from the verb. okay, with test, which means that the action of seeing is done by practice. Okay. So now if we look at, another, okay, phrase structure tree, different from the other. We have the same sentence, but we can give it another phrase structure. Like, for example, here, if we take the sentence consists of NP, the boy, and the VP. The VP consists of the verb, then we have NP, verb and NP, which is the NP consists of the determinate noun and another NP, which gives us a preposition, and NP, determinate noun, which means that the NP for with the telescope is taken from the man, which means that the man with the telescope, so it is an adjective, it modifies, the phrase structure allows us to generate vast number of sentences. Yet, it fails to account for some characteristic of language. If we take an example of this language, the sentence structure can be divided into two because the elements that belong together are separated in the sequence. We take an example. I saw a boy in the room with long hair. So here, the relationship between I saw a boy, look at the boy where, and with the long hair. So phrase structure can give us, the relationship between a boy and with the long hair. Another, failure we can see about phrase structure grammar. Also, phrase structure grammar fails to relate sentences that are related in meaning, such as active sentences and their passive counterparts. Phrase structure grammar has another problem, which is sentences are analyzed on surface level, which represent the superficial syntactic structure of the sentence. So another level of structure, which is the deep structure, should be pulled. So what is the solution? Is the transformational theory. We need a model that either somehow allows for crossing branches or else permits elements to be moved from one original position to another, like what happens for active and passive, where we say John, the man saw John and John will see by the man, how we change, the subject from object to position to subject. Transformational generative grammar is the key. Why? Because, and this is, we're not going, to analyze it here in semester 4, and this is what will be the next step in syntactic analysis, in sentence analysis, or in syntax in semester 6. Exercises. Okay, so we're going to go to give you some sentences, to analyze. Draw phrase structure trees for the following sentences. Some sentences can be displayed in more than one tree there. For example, here we have the old man hit the young boy with a pencil. Number 2, the young lady recognized the fluffy dog in the street. Number 3, the young short Chinese woman solved the problem of maths in the classroom. The third one, the fourth sentence, a very large dog, with the poor cat in the shop. Number 5, the famous Brazilian player liked the idea of the coach. And the third one, the young girl comes into land with an emperor. So these sentences try to prove the phrase structure to each one. Sometimes, those sentences can have more than, one analysis or one phrase structure. Sometimes you can analyze it into phrase structure trees. Okay. In the end, what we can say, thank you very much for your attention.